Exposed. How my trusted circle conspired for months to destroy my relationship. The truth will shock you. It's been exactly 3 months since I discovered the truth. 3 months since my world crumbled around me, revealing the lies, manipulation, and betrayal that had been happening right under my nose for nearly a year. I never thought I'd share this story publicly, but after countless sleepless nights and therapy sessions, I've realized that keeping silent only protects the people who hurt me. So here it is, the unfiltered truth about how the people I trusted most in this world conspired to destroy the relationship that meant everything to me. The beginning, when everything seemed perfect. 8 months ago, I was the happiest man alive. I had just proposed to Olivia, my girlfriend of 2 years, with a ring that cost me nearly 6 months' salary. It was worth every penny to see her face light up as I got down on one knee at the rooftop restaurant overlooking the city. She cried, I cried, and when she said yes, the entire restaurant erupted in applause. It was everything I had dreamed it would be. Olivia is incredible. Smart, compassionate, driven, and genuinely kind. We met through a mutual friend at a charity fundraiser, and from our first conversation, I knew she was different. Unlike anyone I'd dated before, including my ex, Rebecca, whom I'd been with for nearly 4 years before we broke up. Rebecca and I had history, sure. College sweethearts who tried to make it work after graduation, but ultimately wanted different things. She was ambitious, focused on climbing the corporate ladder, while I wanted to build my own business from the ground up. The split was messy but necessary. Or at least, that's what I thought at the time. After Olivia and I got engaged, everything seemed to be falling into place. My business was finally turning a profit after 3 grueling years of 80-hour work weeks. We bought a house in a neighborhood we previously couldn't afford, and we were planning a wedding for the following summer. Life was good. Too good, apparently, because certain people in my life couldn't stand to see me happy. The first red flags I chose to ignore. Looking back, the signs were there from the beginning. My sister Emma had always been polite to Olivia, but never warm. There was a stiffness to their interactions that I attributed to their different personalities. Emma is outspoken and brutally honest, while Olivia is more reserved, thinking before she speaks. I figured they just needed time to bond. Then there was my best friend since high school, Jason. He and Olivia seemed to get along great initially. He even helped me pick out her engagement ring. But whenever Olivia wasn't around, he'd make small, seemingly innocent comments. Remember how Rebecca always used to make those Sunday brunches you loved? Man, Rebecca would have loved this new brewery. Remember how she was always up for trying new craft beers with us? At the time, I brushed these comments off. Jason and Rebecca had become friends during our relationship, so it made sense he'd mention her occasionally. I never imagined there was something more sinister brewing beneath the surface. The first concrete red flag came about 2 months after our engagement. Emma was hosting a dinner party, and when we arrived, guess who was sitting at the table? Rebecca, my ex. The woman I hadn't spoken to in over 3 years. Oh, I ran into her at the gym, Emma explained casually. We got to talking, and I mentioned the dinner party. I didn't think you'd mind. You guys ended on good terms, right? We had not ended on good terms. Emma knew this. She had been the one who brought me ice cream and whiskey for a week straight after the breakup. She had witnessed firsthand how devastated I was. Olivia, ever gracious, smiled through the awkwardness. She made polite conversation with Rebecca while I sat there in stunned silence, trying to process why my sister would do this. By the end of the night, I had convinced myself it was an innocent mistake. Emma had probably forgotten how bad the breakup had been, or maybe she genuinely thought enough time had passed for us all to be friends. I couldn't have been more wrong. The conspiracy deepens: money, time, and calculated moves. What I didn't know then was that this dinner party was just the beginning of a carefully orchestrated plan. Emma and Jason had been in contact with Rebecca for months before that night. They had been meeting for coffee, having lunches, strategizing on how to break up my engagement and get me back with Rebecca. Why? The reasons are both simple and complicated. Rebecca had recently been promoted to CFO at her company. At just 29, she was making over $300,000 a year, far more than Olivia, who worked for a non-profit focused on education reform. Money shouldn't matter in relationships, but to Emma and Jason, it did. They saw Rebecca as my ticket to financial security, to a life of luxury they thought I deserved. "Think about your future kids," Emma would later tell me during our confrontation. Rebecca could give them everything: private schools, international vacations, connections in the business world. What could Olivia offer? The irony, of course, is that I never cared about any of that. My business was doing well enough that we could live comfortably. More importantly, Olivia made me happy in ways Rebecca never had. She supported my dreams, laughed at my terrible jokes, and saw me, truly saw me, for who I was, not who she wanted me to be. But Emma and Jason had made up their minds. Over the next several months, they executed their plan with frightening precision. They created situations where Rebecca and I would accidentally run into each other. Coffee shops I frequented, the gym during my regular workout times, even the farmer's market. Olivia and I visited every Saturday. These coincidences caused the first real strain in my relationship with Olivia. She never accused me of anything, but I could see the questions in her eyes. The doubt. And I couldn't blame her. Suddenly, my ex was everywhere, always looking amazing, always so happy to see me. Meanwhile, Emma and Jason were working on Olivia, too. They'd invite her to lunch without me, then spend the entire time reminiscing about my past with Rebecca. How perfect we had been together. How devastating the breakup had been for me. How long it had taken me to move on. "I just want you to understand what you're getting into," Emma told Olivia during one of these lunches. "He never fully got over Rebecca. We all see it, even if he doesn't want to admit it." Olivia later told me that she'd come home from these lunches feeling insecure and confused. Was she just a rebound? Had I settled for her because I couldn't have Rebecca? These poisonous thoughts were exactly what Emma and Jason wanted to plant. The $50,000 investment they nearly destroyed. By the 5-month mark of our engagement, the cracks were beginning to show. Olivia and I were fighting more frequently, usually about small things that escalated quickly. The wedding planning, which should have been exciting, became a source of tension. We were spending close to $50,000 on this wedding, money I had saved diligently for years, envisioning this exact moment in my life. What I didn't realize was that every time Olivia and I had a disagreement about wedding details, she was receiving texts from Emma offering a sympathetic ear. "Brothers can be so difficult," she'd say. "Remember, it's your day too." Seemingly supportive messages that were actually designed to widen the gulf between us. And then there was the bachelor party that Jason insisted on planning. A weekend trip to Vegas that I was initially excited about, until I discovered that he had invited Rebecca's brother, Mark. Mark, who just happened to bring his sister along for his own coincidental Vegas trip the same weekend. I only found out about this when I ran into them at the hotel bar. Jason acted surprised, but I later discovered text messages proving he'd coordinated the whole thing. The plan was simple: get me drunk, put me in Rebecca's path, and hope for a moment of weakness they could use to destroy my relationship. I'd like to say I saw through their plan immediately, but the truth is, seeing Rebecca that night did stir up old feelings. Not love, but nostalgia. We had history, and for a brief moment, as we talked and laughed about old times, I found myself wondering, what if? That night, Rebecca kissed me. I pulled away immediately, the shock of her lips on mine like a bucket of cold water bringing me back to reality. I left the bar and spent the rest of the night in my hotel room, calling Olivia and telling her everything. She was hurt, but appreciated my honesty. We agreed to talk more when I got home. Little did I know, Jason had taken photos of that moment, the kiss I didn't initiate, and immediately stopped. Photos that would later be used as ammunition. The breaking point. The truth that cost me $10,000, the final act of their plan, came just 2 weeks before what would have been our wedding day. By this point, Olivia and I had worked through most of our issues. The strange coincidences with Rebecca had become less frequent, and we were focused on our future together. Then came the dinner at Emma's house. She insisted that Olivia and I come over to discuss final wedding details. "I've been such a terrible sister," she said. "Let me help with the last-minute stuff. I want to make it up to you both." When we arrived, Jason was there too. And as we sat down in Emma's living room, they executed the final phase of their plan. "We need to show you something," Emma said, her voice solemn as she pulled out her phone. "And you're going to be angry, but we're doing this because we love you." What followed was a carefully edited montage of moments from the past 6 months. Me and Rebecca talking at the farmer's market, a cropped video that cut out Olivia standing just a few feet away. The kiss at the Vegas bar, shown without context, making it look like I had initiated it. Text messages between Rebecca and me discussing wedding stress. Friendly messages taken completely out of context. The coup de grace was a voice recording of me at a bar with Jason 3 months earlier. I had been venting about wedding planning, normal pre-wedding jitters that everyone experiences, and Jason had deliberately asked leading questions. "Do you ever wonder if you're making a mistake?" he had asked. "Sometimes I wonder if we're rushing things," I had replied, tired and stressed after a long day. "But then I remember how much I love her, and I know it's right." In the recording Emma played, only the first part of my response was included. The part about loving Olivia had been cut out. I watched in horror as Olivia's face crumpled. 6 months of carefully planted seeds of doubt finally bloomed into full-grown suspicion. She took off her engagement ring, the $10,000 symbol of our commitment, placed it on the coffee table, and walked out without a word. I was too shocked to follow her immediately. Instead, I turned to my sister and best friend, the people who had just shattered my happiness, and asked one word: why? Their explanation was as infuriating as it was illogical. They believed they knew what was best for me better than I did. They had always liked Rebecca more. They thought Olivia was nice, but not the one. They convinced themselves that they were saving me from making a terrible mistake. "In 5 years, you'll thank us," Jason said, actually believing it. I left without another word, racing to find Olivia. But the damage was done. She had blocked my number, gone to stay with her parents, and refused to see me. Through her friend, she sent a message that she needed time to think. The wedding was canceled. I lost nearly $30,000 in non-refundable deposits. But the money meant nothing compared to what else I had lost. The future I had planned with the woman I loved. The discovery that changed everything. For 2 weeks, I was in a daze. I tried everything to reach Olivia, to explain what had happened, but she wouldn't listen. Her friends and family had closed ranks around her, protecting her from what they perceived as my betrayal. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source, Rebecca herself. She showed up at my door one evening, looking uncomfortable and carrying a folder of papers. "I can't do this anymore," she said as she handed me the folder. I thought it was harmless at first, just friends trying to help. But this has gone too far. Inside the folder were text messages, emails, and even a written action plan created by Emma and Jason. The document detailed their entire scheme, from the initial accidental meetings to the final confrontation. They had spent months, nearly a year, plotting to break up my engagement. Rebecca explained that she had initially gone along with it because Emma had convinced her that I was unhappy, but too proud to admit it. She genuinely thought she was helping me. But as time went on, and she saw how happy Olivia made me, she started to have doubts. "The Vegas kiss wasn't my idea," she admitted. "Jason texted me exactly when to come to the bar and suggested I remind you what you were missing. I feel terrible about it now." Armed with this evidence, I went to Olivia's parents' house. I refused to leave until she at least looked at what Rebecca had given me. After 2 hours of waiting on their porch, she finally agreed to see the documents. We sat in silence as she read through everything: the calculated plans, the manipulated evidence aids, the lengths my sister and best friend had gone to in order to sabotage our relationship. When she finished, she was crying, but there was also anger in her eyes. "I can't believe they did this to us," she said. That they almost succeeded. The confrontation that cost me. My sister and best friend, with Olivia by my side, I confronted Emma and Jason. I invited them both to my house, not telling them that Olivia would be there or that I had evidence of their scheme. When they arrived, expecting perhaps to console me over my broken engagement, they found us sitting together at the dining table, the folder of evidence spread out before us. "You have 10 minutes to explain yourselves," I said. "And then I never want to see either of you again." Their excuses were pathetic. They insisted they had only been trying to help me, that they genuinely believed Rebecca was better for me in the long run. Emma even had the audacity to say, "We've known you your whole life. We know what makes you happy better than you do." Jason tried to downplay their actions. "It was just a few nudges," he said. "If your relationship was strong enough, it would have withstood this." Olivia, who had remained silent until then, finally spoke. "You didn't give our relationship a fair chance," she said, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. "You decided from the beginning that I wasn't good enough, and you did everything in your power to prove yourselves right." They left without genuine apologies, still believing they had done the right thing. As I closed the door behind them, I felt a strange mixture of grief and relief. I had lost my sister and my best friend, relationships that had been central to my life for decades, but I had also cut out a cancer that had been poisoning my happiness. The aftermath, what it cost and what I gained. That was 3 months ago. Olivia and I are still together, though we decided to postpone the wedding while we rebuild the trust that was so severely damaged. We're in couples therapy, working through the trauma of what happened. It's not easy. There are days when the shadow of doubt still creeps in, moments when one of us pulls away, scared of being hurt again. The financial cost has been significant. Beyond the lost wedding deposits, I've spent thousands on therapy, both couples and individual sessions. I've had to take time off work to deal with the emotional fallout, costing my business potential contracts worth over $60,000. But some costs can't be measured in dollars. I've lost my relationship with my sister, the person who has known me my entire life. Our parents are devastated by the rift, constantly pressuring me to forgive her. She thought she was helping, my mother says, not understanding that good intentions don't excuse manipulative actions. Jason has reached out multiple times, sending increasingly desperate texts, asking for forgiveness. I haven't responded to any of them. Perhaps someday I'll be ready to hear him out, but that day is not today. As for Rebecca, we had one final conversation where I made it clear that while I appreciate her coming forward with the truth, we can never be friends. There's too much history, too much damage done. She understood and promised to respect my boundaries. The truth about trust, and what I've learned, the hardest lesson in all of this, has been about trust. How do you continue to open yourself up to people after experiencing such a profound betrayal? How do you know who is genuine and who might be working against you? I don't have all the answers, but I've learned that trust isn't something you give blindly. It's something that must be continually earned through actions, not words. I've learned to pay attention to that quiet voice inside that says, something isn't right here, even when I can't immediately identify what's wrong. Most importantly, I've learned that real love, the kind Olivia and I share, is resilient. It can withstand attacks from the outside if both people are committed to fighting for each other. We're stronger now than we were before, our commitment tested by fire and found unbreakable. To those who might be facing similar situations, manipulative friends, family members who think they know what's best for you, people who try to sabotage your happiness because it doesn't align with their vision for your life, I say this: trust yourself, trust your heart, and don't let anyone else define what happiness looks like for you. Because at the end of the day, it's your life, your choices, your happiness, and nobody, not even the people who claim to love you most, has the right to take that away from you. The future. Rebuilding from the ashes. Olivia and I have set a new wedding date, exactly 1 year from today. It will be smaller than we originally planned, just 50 of our closest friends and family, rather than the 200-person extravaganza we had been organizing. Emma and Jason won't be there, a thought that still brings me pain despite everything they did. We're approaching this new chapter with hard-won wisdom. We know now that relationships require vigilance, not paranoia, but a mindful awareness of the people we allow into our sacred spaces. The new wedding will cost less than half of what we'd originally planned, around $20,000 instead of $50,000. But in many ways, it feels more valuable. Every person who will be there has proven their loyalty, their genuine happiness for our relationship. There's a purity to that which no amount of money can buy. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if Rebecca hadn't come forward with the truth. Would Olivia and I have found our way back to each other? Would I have spent years wondering what went wrong, never knowing that the people I trusted most had engineered my heartbreak? These questions keep me up at night sometimes, but then I look over at Olivia, sleeping peacefully beside me, and I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. Not just for her forgiveness and strength, but for the harsh lesson we've learned together. That true love isn't about grand gestures or perfect circumstances, but about choosing each other day after day, even when, especially when, the world seems determined to pull you apart. So to Emma and Jason, if you're somehow reading this, you failed, and in your failure, you gave us an unexpected gift, a relationship tested by fire, stronger and more resilient than before. For that, and only that, I thank you. And to anyone else who finds themselves surrounded by people who claim to know what's best for you. Listen to your heart. It knows the truth, even when your head is clouded by the opinions of others. The most expensive thing in this world isn't money lost. It's happiness, sacrificed on the altar of others' expectations. Trust yourself. The truth may shock you, but it will also set you free.